Hey, y'all. I'm Rob,
And I'm Erica.
and you're listening to Pumpkin Spice.
And Nothing Nice podcast.
This is episode 16, The True Villains of Television.
Trigger warning. Topics discussed in this episode may not be suitable for all listeners. Oakley dokley.
The meeting is being recorded.
How are you doing?
Oh, girl. I'm not going to answer that on such a public platform. So let's just say we're good. Everything's fine. Everything's good. Everything's
Oh,
good.
goodness. Okay.
There's
All
just
right.
there's just some drama that I was just presented with mere seconds ago, and I'm
Do
just
we need to
like,
reschedule this?
no, we're good. It's not.
Okay.
It's 1,000 miles away. Anyway, but before we do get down to business
Mhm.
to defeat the Huns, we need for McAllister's to bring the muffaletta back.
All day, every day.
And we need for the United States government to get their heads out of their asses and not pursue this ridiculous ban on TikTok. And I don't care what the government says. It is not a forced sell because they can't just force sell.
Mhm.
It's a ban.
Okay, so let's think of all the things that are more scary than TikTok. Okay, call center, robocall, spam calls. Those are pretty scary. I don't like those. I would love for those to be banned. Why are they not being banned?
Precisely.
Nigerian princes with inheritance money that you have to go get a cashier's check for. That's pretty scary and has been around for a long time. Why haven't they banned that?
Mhm. Indeed. Why are they still selling China farmland if they're so against China?
Mm-hmm.
You
What
know,
what did China do to them? What has China done
you know,
besides making all of our products?
girl. And I have ties to people in cybersecurity that work within the military scope. And if people only knew the countries that were actually trying to hack our data
Mm-hmm.
that isn't China,
Mm-hmm.
they would be shocked and appalled
But I
because
think they do know. I think
because
they
some
do
of
know
them
that.
are because some of them are our allies. They
Mm-hmm.
sure are. So
Yeah.
anyway, be that as it may, how are you? What's going on?
I had to swim this morning
Yeah.
and that went fine. So we are titties out because this is what I wore to swim. But I took off my swimsuit so I wasn't soaking wet. But that went well. Um, and I got my episode script done when I got home. Because why should I do things in a timely manner when I can stress myself out in crunch? Because that's who I am as a person. I'm
That's
so
perhaps the most Capricorn thing I believe
sorry.
I've ever heard you say.
So listen, mine is pretty much straight from Wikipedia. I'm so sorry.
Do you want to
But that's okay.
reschedule? No, I'm
That's
just
okay
kidding. I'm
because
just kidding.
anyway, that's who I am as a person. Um, but other
So
than that,
today, so
yeah,
today, guys and dolls, ladies and gentle theys, gentlemen and gentlemen, I need you all to realize that this episode can be triggering for some. We are going to talk about some pretty gnarly things. This
yeah,
episode, of course, is real TV villains. So we're going to be discussing people that are on TV that may have played good characters, but were actually villains in real life. And with that does come some sexual assaults, some rapes, perhaps some murders and
murders.
suicides.
Yeah,
So we just need you guys to be aware of this is not the content you are looking for today. It may be, for your better health, to not partake in the content today.
and that's okay.
But I just wanted to give that trigger warning before we got into it. So Miss Wikipedia, let's get started.
Okay, do you want to go first? You want me to?
I don't care.
Why don't you go first?
Okay, why don't I go first? Okay. So, I chose two of my favorite shows to discuss, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is no mystery that I'm a Gleek. Okay. It is absolutely no mystery that I love musical theater, and Glee had a special place in my heart the entirety of the time it was broadcasting. And every good once in a while, I do go back and try to find, episodes to watch and whatnot. And so there was a character on that show by the name of Noah Puckerman. He was portrayed by Mark Salling. And on the show, Puckerman was kind of a, how do I want to put it? He was a jock and thought he was hotter than he was and could get all the girls. He was very much a man whore on the show. Well, it turns out that IRL, his proclivities were for an audience much younger.
Oh,
Much
gracious.
younger. Yes, ma'am. So
Mm-mm.
anyway, Mark Salling was born on the 17th of August in 82. Um, and he was born in Dallas, Texas, right? So, I mean, we
Valdez,
know
Texas?
Dallas, Texas.
Oh, Dallas.
Dallas, Texas. Yes,
Dallas.
ma'am.
Okay.
Dallas, Texas. He was an actor. He was in more than just Glee, but Glee is kind of what he was known for. He was also a musician. He tinkered on the guitar. Um, and he wrote the theme song to a show that probably wasn't even relevant. Let's be all the way for real. Um, but anywho, he well, let's just jump into it. In 2013, Mark's ex-girlfriend Roxanne Gorsella accused him of committing sexual battery on March 25th, 2011, by having unprotected sex without her knowledge that the sex they were having was unprotected.
Can I
Which,
ask a question?
what's that?
How do you know that it's unprotected? Or how do you not know that it's unprotected?
Well, if you don't see it go in you, and you may not notice whether or not there's a condom on it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Perhaps he put the condom on, she got on her knees, and then he took it off before he went in. There,
That's pretty
there,
fucking gross.
yeah, and that's why it's sexual battery.
Indeed, it is.
Because if you were, consent. She did
Mm-hmm.
not consent to having unprotected sex. Anyway,
Right.
he denied the charges and filed a countersuit for defamation of character. In March of 2015, he settled with her out of court and agreed to pay her $2.7 million.
Holy shit, it sounds like he did do what he was. Oh, okay.
Oh, uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Now, this is where things get really, really gross. Because on December 29th of 2015, he was arrested in his Los Angeles home on suspicion of possessing several thousand photos and videos depicting child pornography, following a tip-off to the police from one of his ex-girlfriends. Uh-huh. He was released later on a $20,000 bail, but a search pursuant to a warrant found more than 50,000 images of child pornography downloaded between April and December 2015 on his computer and USB flash drives.
Oh, excuse me, that was a poorly timed hiccup, but 50 50,000.
Yes, ma'am. 550,000. Uh-huh. Indeed.
Okay, here's a
Indeed.
question that I've always wondered, because in cases where this is the situation, it's always in the thousands that these people are caught with, right? Never just one or two. It's in the thousands. Are they do you believe that they would be downloading like a database or something?
I can only presume. I don't know how it works, but I would think so. I
Oh,
would think
excuse me.
so.
I'm so sorry. I forgot to mention also, child pornography is scarier than TikTok and
Agreed.
China.
It is indeed.
Why don't we ban that?
Why don't- mm. And why don't we, I'm not going to say that on a public platform. I was going to say, and the politicians that partake in such things need to be taken care of too. Mm.
Listen.
Okay. But yeah, so that would be my presumption, is that he bought them in bulk. I don't know how the
Okay.
process works. I don't like children in a, you know, normal sense, let alone that. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
so, but I would presume he bought it in bulk. So on May 27th of 2016, he was charged with receiving and possessing child pornography. As a result of the charges, he was removed from the cast of the film Gods and Secrets.
His secrets got out.
Right. And then on September 30th of 2017, he pleaded guilty to possession of child pornography as part of a plea deal, which was expected to result in him being sentenced to 4 to 7 years in jail, in addition to registering as a sex offender and entering a treatment program, among other conditions. The guilty plea was formalized on December 18th, 2017, and his sentencing was set for March 7th, 2018.
4 to 7 years.
Mm-hmm. It's
And
part
a
of a plea
treatment
deal.
program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have feelings about that, but they're controversial.
They are right, right. I agree with the treatment program because there's obviously something wrong with people that have, you know, fascinations with children. But I think that the punitive side of it should have been much longer.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll never know how many years he would have gotten because he died by suicide on January 30th, 2018, near his home in the Sunland area of Los Angeles. His body was found 6 hours after he was reported missing. The manner of his death was confirmed by the Los Angeles coroner's office, and his death was ruled a suicide.
I don't know how to do your tongue click thing. Can you insert your tongue click thing? There you go. That's how I feel about it. That right there, that sound, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think that people that prey on children are disgusting. But there's a lot more to those feelings, but that's all I'm going to say that can be publicly heard.
Indeed. Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I have no respect for people that harm children.
Yeah.
And if it were legal to take matters into one's own hands, I would be the hands one could take to put towards a situation. You know what I'm saying to you?
I say, why bother with feeding them for the next X amount of years and housing them? Anyway.
So
anyhow.
the funny thing about our justice system in this country, in the United States, for those of you that are listening, or potentially one of the 5 people that listen, and one of you happens to be in another country, it is cheaper to house someone in prison than it is to expire them in prison.
Because you have all of the appeals, all of the court stuff that has to be followed through. You have to follow all their legal rights.
It is indeed cheaper to do that. So,
and they talk about jailhouse justice, but I heard recently from like an ex-con or something that really doesn't happen the way that people think it does, because if it's a big name person that's in prison, they're going to keep them alive as long as they possibly can. So the guards and all that shit, they go out of their way to protect them. Because as long as that person's in the news, everybody in that jail system is being watched.
Right. I, may have been in handcuffs, but it was never by the police. So I don't know how it works in prison. What did Obert? What did Cat Williams say? 19 felonies, no convictions, or something like that.
Something like that.
Jail and prison are not the same. Jail and prison are not the same.
I have, knock on wood, never been in handcuffs at any point in my life. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't have been.
No, I've never been under legal issues. I've never had any legal problems. No, ma'am. I'm boring.
Proud of you. I'm proud of you. Stay boring.
Yes. Yes, very boring, and now I'm medicated, so there's almost no risk to the public.
So since you watched Glee, since you
Uh-huh.
were an avid watcher of the Glee,
I
how did
was.
it impact you when all of this happened? What
Well,
did it look like on the show?
it happened after the show. It
Oh,
happened
okay.
after the show. Yeah. Yeah, all of that found out after the show. Glee was 2009 to 2015, but everything had been recorded prior to all of this going down. So the
Mhm.
show never really dealt with it because he was
Gotcha.
arrested in 2015.
And there
Um,
was another actor, Corey Monteith. He died. Did he die during the show?
he did, yeah, Corey Monteith. And I don't want to touch on things that I don't have 100% fact in hand about,
Sure, I
but
understand.
he did have a drug and alcohol problem, and in the end, allegedly, he died of an accidental overdose, I believe.
I think it was an
Um,
accident too.
yeah, a mix between um, um, found dead in his. He was on the July 13th, 2013. He was found dead in his room. He was 31. Rule out foul play. An autopsy was completed by British Columbia Coroner's Service on July 15th. The preliminary autopsy report stated he died from a mixed drug toxicity consisting of heroin and alcohol, that his death appeared to have been accidental. The final report confirmed these findings. He also had codeine and morphine in the system at the time of his death.
Good
He
grief.
was found with drug paraphernalia included with a spoon with drug residue and a used hypodermic needle, as well as two empty bottles of champagne.
Hmm.
The coroner wrote that he had experienced intermittent periods of drug abuse and abstinence throughout his life, and that after a period of cessation from opioid drug use, a previously tolerated drug concentration level may have become toxic and fatal.
Hmm. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and they believe that his stay in a rehab months prior to his death, and his attempt to stay off drugs resulted in his lower tolerance for the drug. Mhm. Yes, so they made a whole thing about it on the show after he passed, because I believe there were like two seasons after he died.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, girl. It was like 11 years ago. But yeah, um, and then the other TV villain I'm going to talk about is from another really hilarious show called That 70s Show. And the
Mhm.
and the ironic thing about That 70s Show is there's a spinoff called That 90s Show.
Stop it.
And
You're
the
going to make me feel insert.
and the funny thing about that for our audience is the fact that That 70s Show takes place as far away from the 70s as That 90s Show
La,
takes
la,
place
la, la,
in
la, 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 la,
today.
la. I can't hear you. Yesterday we
So
were 18.
so love that for us. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about a Mr. Daniel Peter Masterson, otherwise known as Danny Masterson, who those of us that know him played Hyde in That 70s Show. Right. Um, so a couple of things, he was from New York. He was born in Nassau County, New York. I don't know why I said New York with a country accent, but he's from New
Wait, wait,
York.
wait, wait. What's the old salsa commercial?
New York City.
New York City. Oh, there's so many people that won't understand that.
And they're probably Gen Zers. Anyway, so he was married to Bijou Phillips.
I
And
didn't know that.
yeah, they got married in 2011, girl. They sure
Ooh.
did. They sure did. They sure did. All right. So, he acted in several things. It wasn't just that 70s show, but that's where he kind of got big. He was also in The Ranch. He was in oh, a show, A Men at Work. Um, Rooster. He played Rooster Bennett in The Ranch. Anyway, he was also a Scientologist. And
Mm.
yes, girl. Yes, he was one of them Scientologists. But so he started, let's just kind of go back in time a little bit. He started dating Bijou Phillips in 2004. They became engaged in 2009 and married in 2011. They have one daughter who was born in February of 2014. On September 18th, 2023, Phillips filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences and requesting full and legal physical custody of their child, as well as spousal support. So this is where Mr. Masterson becomes the villain. Are we ready? In March of 2017, three women filed sexual assault allegations against Masterson, prompting an investigation by the Los Angeles Police Department. Masterson, through his agent, denied these allegations. In December of 2017, after a fourth victim's accusations, Netflix fired Masterson from its comedy series The Ranch, saying in a statement, "Yesterday was his last day on the show, and production will resume in early 2018 without him." Masterson stated that he was obviously very disappointed in Netflix's decision to write his character off The Ranch. And then a few weeks later, a fifth woman made similar rape accusations. He was dropped as a client then from United Talent Agency. In November of 2017, Cedric Bixler Zavala, who was in the groups The Mars Volta, if you're familiar with The Mars Volta, he was also in At the Drive-In, wrote that Masterson had sexually assaulted his wife, Chrissy Carnell, and he wrote about it in the song Incurably Innocent from the band At the Drive-In. In early 2017, Leah Remini had a show called Scientology in the Aftermath, and they had filmed a 2-hour episode that focused on the sexual assault allegations against Masterson with interviews from multiple accusers. This was planned to air during season 2. The Los Angeles District Attorney initially asked A&E not to air the episode until the office had concluded investigations and decided whether to charge Masterson. After waiting for a year and a half, A&E decided to go ahead and just drop the episode in season 3 as the finale. But as soon as they announced it, A&E and Disney were bombarded with a campaign of attack letters from Scientologists. We're going to get to that. Though delayed, the episode finally aired 6 months later on August 26, 2019, as a 2-hour special titled Waiting for Justice. 1 week before the airing, 4 accusers filed a civil suit against Masterson and the Church of Scientology. So something to understand about the Church of Scientology. First of all, it is forbidden for a member of the Church of Scientology to go to the police regarding another member of the Church of Scientology. And so that's
Okay.
one of the many things about that organization. Anyway, so the girls that were accusing him of sexually assaulting them, battering them, and raping them were also members of the Church of Scientology. So all of this,
shut the fuck up. What?
Right. Okay. So apparently these crimes had been reported before, but no one really cared. Each of the 4 plaintiffs had been a member of the Church of Scientology at the time, and as was Danny Masterson, Scientology forbids its members to report fellow members to police for any reason. After each plaintiff reported the sexual assaults to the police, each was declared a suppressive person and ejected from the church. In the civil suit, the plaintiffs alleged that the church then mobilized an aggressive harassment campaign against them called Fair Game. The plaintiffs claimed they were subjected to stalking, physical invasion of privacy, constructive invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and one plaintiff claimed that her dog died from an unexplained traumatic injuries to its trachea and esophagus, alleging that church members chased her as she drove her car, filmed her without her permission, harassed her online, and posted ads to social media sites soliciting sex in her name. Another plaintiff stated that she and her neighbors observed a man snapping pictures from her driveway, and later that night, someone broke a window in her 13-year-old daughter's bedroom. Masterson has since responded to one of the plaintiffs in the lawsuit, claiming, "I'm not going to fight my ex-girlfriend in the media like she's been baiting me to do for more than 2 years. I will beat her in court, and I look forward to it because the public will finally be able to learn the truth and see how I've been railroaded by this woman. And once her lawsuit is thrown out, I intend to sue her and the others who jumped in on the bandwagon for damage they had caused to me and my family." Of course, he didn't even discuss the stalking and harassment claims.
Mm-hmm.
So, in 2020, Cedric Bixler, the man we talked about prior, who said that his wife had been sexually assaulted by Masterson,
Right.
um, said that a second of his family pets had to be euthanized because it had been fed rat poison wrapped inside a rolled up piece of raw meat, alleging this was done by Scientologists in response to his repeated public statements alleging that Masterson had raped his wife, who was one of the 4 women who had filed the suit against him. Masterson's wife, Bijou Phillips, made an Instagram post mocking court papers against Masterson. Later, when the criminal case got underway, the parallel civil case was put on hold until after the criminal case was completed. So this is where we start getting into like criminal charges of Masterson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on June 17th, 2020, he was charged with raping a 23-year-old woman in 2001, a 28-year-old woman in early 2003, a 23-year-old woman in 2003. 3 counts came after a 3-year investigation beginning in 2017. On January 2021, he pleaded not guilty. A 4-day preliminary hearing began on May 18th of 2021. So during the hearing, it was kind of part of the allegations involved the Church of Scientology and Masterson. They would go on to say things like the church employees tried to stop them from reporting Masterson to the police. And then so there was a pre-trial hearing where they laid out all the evidence. And then on May 21st, the LA County Superior Court Judge Charlene F. Almeida ruled that all 3 witnesses were credible and the evidence presented during the preliminary hearing was sufficient to support all charges. She ordered he be bound over for trial on 3 counts of rape by force or fear and that he surrender his passport at his next arraignment, which was set for June in 2021. In the ruling, Judge Almeida determined that the Scientology organization was expressly written doctrine that not only discourages, prohibits its members from going to the police to report illegal behavior. On June 7th, Masterson pleaded not guilty to rape accusations that alleged to have occurred between 2001 and 2003. His defense attorney accused the 3 women of colluding against him, claiming that they were in contact with each other. His defense attorney also stated that one of the Jane Does had obtained money from Masterson in 2004, but after the June 7th arraignment, Masterson remained free on a $3.3 million bail. A pretrial hearing was set for August 9th. During that hearing, the judge rejected numerous subpoena requests from the defense attorneys, calling them stunningly overbroad, including requests for LAPD records related to David Miscavige and Shelley Miscavige. I don't know who those people are. A subpoena on the producers of the TV show, the Leah Remini and the Scientology in the Aftermath, and a subpoena to the investigative reporter. The defense filed a motion to dismiss the case based on lack of evidence presented during the May preliminary hearing, and the judge set that motion to another judge. In November, that other judge did also agree that the testimony of the alleged victims was credible and sufficient to support the charges, and then they set the trial for August 29th in 2022 for Judge Alameda to preside. It was then rescheduled till October 2022. Near the end of the month-long trial, Masterson decided not to testify nor call witnesses to his defense. Both parties rested their case November 14th, 2022, and made their closing arguments the following day. The jury was deadlocked for 3 days into deliberation. Instead of declaring a mistrial, the judge ordered the jury to resume deliberations the week after Thanksgiving. The jury remained deadlocked once deliberations resumed, and consequently a mistrial was declared. The jury foreman said that the panel of 6 men and 6 women leaned towards acquitting Masterson on all counts because they found that the testimonies of the complainants were inconsistent and implausible. For instance, one Jane Doe testified in court that Masterson threatened her with a gun during the attack, but a firearm was not mentioned when she reported to the police. So that's a problem with credibility. So they almost just shut it all the way down. But in May of 2023, April and May, they had the retrial. He was convicted of 2 of the 3 counts of forcible rape. The jury was hung in an 8-4 in favor of conviction on the 3rd charge. He was remanded without bail until sentencing. As of June 2nd, he was incarcerated in Men's Central Jail in Los Angeles in administrative segregation for his safety. In July of 2023, they announced that they would not retry Masterson on the charge, which has resulted in a hung jury. That following September, Masterson was sentenced to an indefinite period of 30 years to life in prison, which likely means he'll see parole in about 25 and a half years.
Yeah.
He is now residing in the California Men's Colony. As of January, they have put an appeal, and a judge denied bail to Masterson because of a flight risk.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still waiting on an appeal, but he can't leave. Him and Bijou Phillips are getting divorced, and his defense attorneys were sanctioned because they decided to leak confidential discovery material from the case to Vicky Podboreski, which is an attorney representing the Church of Scientology in the civil lawsuit. His defense attorney leaked information to the Church of Scientology, and they've been sanctioned.
Huh.
Isn't that something? So he's going to be rotting in jail for the next 25 years to life.
Oh.
And and then if you think about that, if you remember hearing anything about it, he had two little buddies.
He did. I'm going to talk about one of his buddies in a minute.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Ashton Kutcher went to his defense until they were laughed at and dragged across Beyonce's internet. And then they recanted and were like, well, maybe he isn't indeed such a great guy.
I wonder what gave that away. Maybe the fact that the people that came and complained about him were found credible. Maybe that should have been your indication that he wasn't a good guy.
And then back in 2001, Ashton and Danny hung out an awful lot, right? And there was one alleged story in which Ashton Kutcher was in the car while something was happening inside of a house.
Super duper.
Allegedly.
For educational purposes.
We're not going to sue the Robster, okay? It was an alleged conversation.
Okay,
yes.
Well, I did mention that I was going to talk about Mr. Ashton Kutcher, but I'm not going to actually talk about him. He's just mentioned. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory on my person, but it's kind of, you have to start at one point to get to the next. Okay. So in the early 2000s, there is a woman named Megan Hauserman. And she began her modeling career as a holiday show model on the Jerry Springer Show while she attended college at the University of Illinois in Chicago. She also worked as a fitness model for Benchwarmer trading cards from 2005 to 2010. So that is the basis of the beginning. She joined the third season cast of Ashton Kutcher's created CW show Beauty and the Geek. We're talking reality TV. And that ran from January 3rd to February 21st of 2007. She and her partner on the show, Alan Scooter Zackheim, were the winning contestants of that show, of that season. So then, in 2008, she joined 19 other women in competing to become Bret Michaels' girlfriend on the second season of VH1's Rock of Love with Bret Michaels. Because what woman does not want to date Bret Michaels?
I said the same shit about that Flava Flav nonsense.
Right?
They both of them.
This is the whole universe we're in right now. Megan said that she discovered the show from an advertisement on Craigslist. Holy smokes. God, I feel old. She appeared on 11 of the 14 episodes that season. However, Megan was eliminated in the 9th episode because Michaels never felt a real connection with her, leaving her in 5th place. Then later in 2008, she competed on VH1's I Love Money for $250,000. Megan appeared on all 14 episodes of the first season and is featured at the center of the season 1 poster. On the first episode, when she was asked what she would do with the money if she won the competition, she stated, that she wants to help mentally challenged dogs and that she adopted a mentally challenged dog, a Chihuahua named Lily. She quit the competition in the 13th episode, the finale, when it was revealed that she would have to face a jury of her former contestants whom she had a part in eliminating. She finished the competition in 3rd place. Then she joined Rock of Love Charm School, which premiered October 12th, 2008, and is hosted by Sharon Osbourne. She appeared on 7 of the 12 episodes. She finished in 10th place on that. So, we're finally getting here. VH1 decided, fuck it, she's in everything. Let's give her her own show. They created Megan Wants a Millionaire, which premiered August 2nd, 2009 on VH1. Hauserman stated in the interview that she was looking for a mature guy that can handle me and doesn't cry, and states he doesn't have to be rich, he has to be stable.
I remember this clusterfuck of a show.
Okay. I'm going to tell you the contestants and their nicknames. They all ranged from having $1 million to like $10 million each, okay? The contestants were 22-year-old trust fund baby Joe, 25-year-old pro wrestler Matt Riviera, 25-year-old the baby James, 29-year-old Latin lover Francisco, 30-year-old Southern gentleman Sean, 31-year-old smooth operator Ryan Jenkins, 31-year-old the hotshot Corey Thomas, 32-year-old the swinger Alex, 35-year-old the Punisher Sheree Hayes, 35-year-old big dog Audie Pineda, 38-year-old the vodka king TJ Diab, 40-year-old internet entrepreneur Dave, sex toy Dave Levine, 41-year-old the nervous guy Al, 41-year-old the world traveler David, 45-year-old the investor Mike, and 54-year-old the producer Donald Farmer. So we're working with a class above the rest. Here's a quick side note. The baby James was not a millionaire at the time of the filming. He was waiting for the death of his grandfather to receive an inheritance.
Oh my God.
Also, big dog Audie Pineda lied about his net worth. So, I mean, I don't understand how anything could go wrong with any of this at all, but shockingly, on August 24th, 2009, VH1 announced that the show had been canceled after airing just 3 episodes because contestant smooth operator Ryan Jenkins was suspected to be involved in the murder of a woman named Jasmine Fiore.
Smooth operator.
Smooth operator. Jasmine Fiore was a swimsuit model who frequently worked as a body-painted model at parties for entertainment. She appeared in shows at Las Vegas casinos. She had acted in commercials for adult phone lines and bathing suits. She had also obtained a real estate license and was planning to open a gym and personal training center. So she was young, beautiful, and had her whole fucking life ahead of her, right? She was going to do things. She was going to go places. Ryan Jenkins was eliminated off of Megan Wants a Millionaire, and shortly following that, met Jasmine Fiore at a casino. 2 days later.
There was a glitch, so they got married 2 days later at the Little White Chapel on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yes, on March 18th, 2009. Yes, sorry. But their relationship was rocky, and court records showed that Jenkins was charged with battery constituting domestic violence for hitting Fiore on the arm. A man named Travis Heinrich, whom Jasmine had met around 2005 and had a relationship with, broken off an engagement with, but was still friends with, witnessed it. Jenkins and Fiore arguing over her kissing Heinrich, and Jenkins hit Fiore's arm, causing her to fall into a nearby swimming pool. Jenkins was to go on trial in December of 2009. And for the record, fuck December 2009. Anyway, neither here nor there. Lisa Lepore, Jasmine's mother, told the Associated Press that her daughter had had her marriage to Jenkins annulled in May 2009, but there are no court records of an annulment in either Nevada, where the couple had married, or Los Angeles County, where they last lived. So in August 2009, the couple got back together, despite probably best interests for everyone involved. On August 14th, the couple were checked into the Del Mar San Diego Hotel La Auberge? I don't know. L apostrophe fancy words. They were to attend a poker. Don't you laugh at me. Stop it. I'm from Alabama. Stop it. They were to attend a poker tournament charity fundraiser.
Le fancy word.
Le fancy word. Le Auberge. Auberge. If it had a gene and an "ine" at the end, it would be Le Aubergine. Which is like eggplant or some shit.
Yeah, an aubergine is in fact an eggplant.
See, there you go. So it's almost an eggplant, but it's le egg, in my opinion. Anyway. Okay, so serious talk. They were there to attend a poker tournament charity fundraiser. Stop laughing. It's about to get bad. Okay. Surveillance video captured Fiore and Jenkins leaving the Hilton at about 2:30 a.m. on August 14th. The couple were last seen at the Ivy Hotel, a nightclub in downtown San Diego. At around 4:30 a.m., Jenkins returned to the La Auberge Hotel alone. Fiore was not seen alive again. Jenkins left the hotel at around 9 a.m. that day. Unfortunately, her body was discovered, but at the time it was not identified, on August 15th at about 7 a.m., badly beaten and crushed inside of a suitcase in a dumpster in an alley in Buena Park, California. According to the Buena Park police, Fiore's teeth and fingers had been removed before her new body was stuffed into the suitcase. She had also been strangled. Authorities believe the mutilation was an attempt to impede identification, but on August 18th, her remains were identified using the serial numbers on her breast implants. The Orange County Coroner's Office reported...
Ain't that some shit? That some shit?
Yeah.
You know,
I bet he had no idea that could happen. That right. There were serial numbers on them.
Right. So like on your car, every piece of your car has a VIN number on it. So say you get into a hit and run and you lose your fender and you drive off, they can take your fender and trace it back to you now. Isn't that just something? That's just something. Yay, boobies crack the case.
Boobies crack the case. The Orange County Coroner's Office reported Fiore had died a couple of hours before her body was found. Fiore's white Mercedes was found abandoned in a parking lot in West Hollywood, about a mile from the penthouse Fiore shared with Jenkins in Fairfax District, Los Angeles. Police reported that there was a significant amount of blood and some evidence of hair pulling. Jenkins reported Fiore missing on August 15th at 8:55 p.m. He told police that he last saw Fiore about 8:30 p.m. August 14th at their home on Edinburgh Avenue, Los Angeles. Jenkins said they had gone to San Diego for a poker event and that after returning, she dropped him off that evening, left to do errands, and never returned. At around 9 a.m. on August 16, 2009, the day after reporting Fiore missing and after spending some time packing, Jenkins was seen leaving their penthouse for the last time. Police said he then left Los Angeles and went to Nevada to pick up his speedboat. On August 17th, when contacted by police, Jenkins said he was in Utah and was headed to Canada to resolve some immigration issues. On August 18th, Fiore's body was identified and the murder was first reported. On the afternoon of August 19th, Jenkins called his father from Birch Bay, who informed him that Fiore had been found murdered. The Whatcom County Sheriff's Department received witness reports of Jenkins' black BMW SUV towing a boat toward the Canada-U.S. border. Police later found the BMW SUV and an empty boat trailer at a marina in Blaine, Washington. The engine was still warm. At the time, Jenkins was only a person of interest in the investigation. He had not been charged, but Canadian authorities had been alerted to watch for him. U.S. Coast Guard and U.S. Customs and Border Protection confirmed they had boats patrolling Northwest Washington waters looking for Jenkins as early as August 19th. Initial media reports were that the U.S. Coast Guard and Canadian authorities chased Jenkins' speedboat as it crossed to Point Roberts, but officials later denied these reports. On August 19th, a man matching Jenkins' description was seen piloting his boat into a marina in Point Roberts, where Jenkins' stepmother lives. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police announced that they believed Jenkins crossed into Canada sometime between August 19th and August 20th. On August 20th, Jenkins was charged with Fiore's murder, and an arrest warrant was issued. The same day, Jenkins called his detained father at the airport, but his father had to hang up the call. At about 6 p.m. on August 20th, Jenkins arrived in a silver PT Cruiser with a young blonde woman at the Thunderbird Motel in Hope, British Columbia, Canada. The car had Alberta license plates, and they pulled up beside a dumpster rather than beside the rooms, which the motel manager said was strange. Jenkins stayed in the car while a young woman paid cash for 3 nights' accommodation. The manager described the woman as attractive, about 25 to 30 years old, and very calm, making small talk while registering. The guest in the room next door said the woman stayed for about 20 minutes with Jenkins in room 2 and then left the motel. The woman proved to be Jenkins' half-sister, Elena Jenkins. The manager saw Jenkins walking outside the motel the next day, August 21st. The manager said Jenkins looked exhausted and was not recognizable from his picture on television. At 11:30 a.m. on August 23rd, the couple failed to check out. Having noticed very little activity over the weekend, the motel manager and his nephew decided to check on the room. Jenkins was found dead, apparently of suicide. His body was hanging from a clothes rack by a belt. No suicide note was found at the motel. However, police found a document saved on Jenkins' computer titled Last Will and Testament, which was dated August 20th, 2009. On August 27th, investigators found a storage unit full of Jenkins' belongings, including a suitcase of clothes in Washington State. So, this obviously would have a massive impact on how TV production works in the future. Following the announcement that Jenkins was connected with the murder of Fiore, VH1 first put Megan Wants a Millionaire on an indefinite hiatus, out of respect for Fiore's family. It also deleted the show's page from the official VH1 website and dropped reruns of past shows from its schedule. It removed the show's archived episodes from the iTunes store and cable video on demand services, leading to speculation that the show would never air again. It subsequently emerged that Jenkins had not only been charged with assaulting Fiore, but had been convicted 2 years earlier for assaulting a woman in Calgary. The latter incident had not been disclosed to either VH1 or Megan Wants a Millionaire producer 51 Minds. In a statement, 51 Minds said that it would not have allowed Jenkins on the show had it known about the 2007 incident. VH1 had hired Collective Intelligence, a private investigation firm, to perform background checks on Jenkins and the other contestants. Collective Intelligence doesn't perform background checks outside the United States and outsourced the vetting of Jenkins to another firm, Straight Line International. According to Creative Intelligence founder Erica Ward, no one from Straight Line would return her calls once the news of Jenkins' 2005 conviction broke. In 2009, Collective Intelligence sued Straight Line for breach of contract. The suit alleged that Straight Line had falsely told Collective Intelligence that Jenkins' record was clean and had also failed to check Jenkins against the RCMP criminal database. Collective Intelligence claimed to have lost valuable business from Viacom, owner of VH1, NBC, and ABC as a result of the damage to its reputation. In 2020, Worth told Entertainment Weekly that she had been forced to lay off almost all of her staff and spent years rebuilding her firm. Straight Line ultimately paid Collective Intelligence's $810,000 to settle the suit. On August 21st, VH1 told the New York Times that Megan Wants a Millionaire would not return to the air. The day after Jenkins' death, VH1 officially announced the show was canceled and that would not run the 3rd season of I Love Money, which Jenkins won. So, not only was he on this one show, but he had previously been on a show, a different season than her, but I Love Money, which he had won. 51 Minds was forced to reimburse VH1 for over $12 million in losses. $12 million in losses. In a 2020 post-mortem on Fiore's murder, EW reported that the incident has had a considerable effect on the reality TV industry. 51 Minds co-founder Mark Cronin said that the incident lenses every conversation I have when vetting potential contestants. He added that 51 Minds now makes it a point to keep in contact with contestants after production ends. Christopher Catalano, who served as senior casting director for Megan Wants a Millionaire, has since moved to CBS as senior casting producer for Big Brother, recalled that something felt off about Jenkins at the time of filming, and the fallout from Fiore's murder made him more willing to listen to his gut feelings about contestants. As he put it, I'd rather be wrong than end up with another Ryan Jenkins. Worth recalled that in recent years, networks and studios who work with collective intelligence have wanted a thorough report from her firm without regard for budgetary questions. So that is the murder of Jasmine Fiore.
You know, I feel like when companies do background checks and they're doing something for a television program that's on a very popular network, perhaps it would behoove them to have access to international records as well, because that is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, ridiculous. The fact that he had already won a show, presumably having his background check ran, and then was on another show, and none of this was, that's just unacceptable.
Now, also take into consideration that both of those shows were under VH1. So one background check was probably used for both.
Unacceptable. That is absolutely unacceptable.
Okay. My second story is going to be a little bit, well, it's going to be a lot of it shorter. Again, it's not the main person on the show, so we're going to do a little bit of background. But growing up, when you were sick, what were the TV shows that were on?
Well, when I was a child, because as you know,
let's go as teenager.
As a teenager, The Price is Right. The soap opera nonsense, you know, Guiding Light, Days of Our Lives, The Young and the Restless. But like, I don't know, I would watch The Price is Right, of course I would. And then, like, I don't know, like,
you ever watch the judge shows?
Not so much. I was a Food Network kid, and so
that makes sense now,
right? So when Food Network came out, they still had like cooking shows on it.
Yeah.
And I was addicted to watching the cooking shows. So that's what I primarily watch. But I'm familiar with like Judge Mathis and Judge Judy and what's her name? The Cuban lady with the brown hair.
Well, this one is Colombian.
Okay.
Is it Christina?
No, Christina is a talk show lady, and she's Cuban, I thought. Or maybe it's a different Christina.
Maybe it's a different one, but this is Christina Perez. She was born October 27th, 1968 in New York City to parents of Colombian descent and was raised in California. She received 2 BAs at UCLA and her JD at Whittier Law School. She is best known for presiding over cases in the shows La Corte de Pueblo, 1999 to 2000.
Yeah.
Is that her?
Yes, I'm familiar with her.
And La Corte de Familia, 2000 to 2005 on the Telemundo network.
Telemundo.
Then she got moved to syndicated American arbitration-based reality court show Christina's Court, which ran from 2006 to 2009. It was filmed at KRIV, the Fox-owned and operated station in Houston. This made Perez one of 4 Hispanic judges that presided over an English-language American TV judge show, along with Maria Lopez, which she was on Judge Maria Lopez, Alex Ferrer, and he had his show Judge Alex, and Marilyn Milian, and she did The People's Court.
That's Judge Milan. That's who I was talking about. She's the Cuban lady with the brown hair. Yes.
Okay. The show was executive produced by Peter Brennan and directed by Arthur Burgel. So Perez is the first Hispanic judge to cross over from Spanish language to English language television. And her ancestry is, like I said, Colombian rather than Mexican or Cuban, as had been thought by some of her viewers. Christina's Court won the Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Legal/Courtroom Program in 2008, 2009, and 2010. The 3 wins was a record until it was tied by Judge Judy in 2017. Perez participated in a weekly radio segment called Sex in the News on the Playboy Radio, which is broadcast on Sirius Satellite Radio. According to the Syndicated Network Television Association, Christina ranked as one of the most trustworthy and influential syndicated hosts on television, ranking second behind Oprah Winfrey among adults 18 to 34 years old. I don't know what we're trusting these people with, but anyway. Perez returned to the court show genre with Justice for All with Judge Christina Perez, which has been airing since 2012. On this show, present every episode was also her bailiff, Deputy Renard Spivey. And this is the story of Renard Spivey. So I'm going to read 2 news articles. One originally was when it first happened, and the second is the most recent, wrapping up the case. From ABC13.com, a veteran deputy of the Harris County Sheriff's Office is accused of killing his wife during a fight over sex, according to new details from court records. Deputy Renard Spivey, 63, is charged with murder. His wife, Patricia Spivey, 52, was shot to death at their home on Briscoe Street over the weekend. Court records show Spivey called 911 at about 3 a.m. Sunday to request an ambulance, saying he and his wife had fought over a gun and he accidentally shot her. Renard was taken to Ben Taub Hospital for a gunshot wound to the leg. He told officers Patricia had shot him in the leg as they were tussling with the gun, and they had been arguing all day. Detectives, though, said it was inconsistent with the accident. Houston police officers found Patricia dead in the master bedroom closet. They added that near Patricia was her cell phone, 3 shell casings, and a 9mm handgun that was placed on top of a clothes hamper. Patricia's brother told police that the couple had been arguing about their lack of intimacy and Patricia's suspicions that Renard was possibly back on steroids and or having an affair, according to court documents. He added that he talked with Renard 3 times in the hours before the shooting. Renard reportedly told him things like, "She's counting my pills," low testosterone medication, claiming that I'm sleeping with someone else. I never thought that he'd go that far, Patricia's brother, Ezra Washington, told ABC 13. I should have acted on it, and that's going to eat me up for a long time, forever. But him saying that and then acting on it, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Officers at the scene noted that Renard outweighed Patricia by about 100 pounds and appeared to be an avid bodybuilder with weightlifting trophies spotted in his home. Patricia leaves behind a daughter, Katrina Marshall. She was my cushion when things were hard, Marshall told ABC 13. She was my friend when I needed to vent, my hands when I needed help, but most of all, that woman is my mother. Renard was hired by the Harris County Sheriff's Office as a detention officer in 1996 and became a deputy in 1998. Throughout his career, Renard has been primarily assigned to the detention command, serving in court operations since 2016. Renard has also worked as an actor, most recently as the bailiff on the TV show Justice for All with Judge Christina Perez from 2012 to 2016. Court records show Renard was ordered to pay more than $10,000 to his ex-wife and daughter. His ex-wife sued him for neglecting their daughter, who is now an adult. Renard's employment with the sheriff's office is under review. The Harris County Sheriff's Office family extends our sincere condolences to the family of Patricia Spivey as they mourn the loss of their loved one, said Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. While the facts of this specific case will be determined by a jury, I encourage all victims of domestic violence to seek assistance from law enforcement and others whom they trust. I also ask anyone who suspects a friend or loved one may be the victim of abuse to persist in helping them escape a potentially deadly situation. Court documents say that Renard may have a mental illness or an intellectual disability. A mental health assessment has been ordered. Officials have requested a high bond, describing Renard as a flight risk and a danger to the community due to his experience as a peace officer and knowledge of weapons. Can you look? Do you know who it is I'm talking about? You should look up a
Mhm.
picture of him if you don't. He's a massive man.
Yeah.
Massive. And then to follow up, on December 9th, 2023, from foxhouston.com, a former Harris County, what do you think?
Oh, guilty.
A former Harris County deputy who was charged with murdering his wife was found not guilty by a jury.
Ah,
Renard Spivey was acquitted on Wednesday, according to court records. As Fox 26 reported back in 2019, 52-year-old Patricia Spivey was found shot to death in her bedroom closet of her home. Court records say Deputy Renard Spivey called 911 and told investigators he accidentally shot his wife after the two had been arguing all day. Investigators said she was shot twice in her arm and her chest. One of the bullets struck her heart and the left side of her lung.
okay.
Spivey was
So
also
mark me confused.
okay.
Mark me confused.
Mhm.
I can see one shot being an accident. If the trigger is super sensitive and it's semi-automatic, I can see two being an accident. 5, she was shot 5 times and he was
Hold on,
acquitted.
wait. Did I say 5? Twice in her arm. Oh, no. 3.
3.
Twice in her arm and one in the chest. But the one in the chest went heart and lung. However, Spivey was also shot in his left thigh. He claims a 9mm gun accidentally went off when the two were tussling over it. Spivey was hired as a detention officer in 1996 and became a deputy in 1998. Throughout his career, Spivey has been primarily the detention command, most recently serving in court operations since 2016. However, Spivey resigned from the department in July 2019. So,
Ain't that some
here's my
shit?
thoughts. Okay, he was acquitted of murder, right? Got it. However, he admits that he shot her, whether accidentally or not, he did shoot her. And that they were fighting over this gun. One of them pulled out a gun. One of them meant to harm the other. So if he didn't materialize this weapon, then she did. So then would that have been like considered self-defense?
I reckon.
Because that's the only way that it like makes sense, is that, oops, I shot you after we fought over this gun that you were trying to use to kill me. I don't know.
It's just a lot. That's a lot. And like during the trial that of the murder of my uncle, his second wife, who was found guilty of wanton murder in the first degree, her first statement, and mind you, she used a revolver. Okay, I'm not sure if you know the mechanics of a revolver. You have to pull the hammer back before you can discharge a bullet.
Right.
So she said it misfired, which is how he got shot in the top of his head while he was sleeping.
I don't know that. I mean, was it from like the 1700s?
No.
That it was rusted so bad?
No, it wasn't. So no. And then she thought it was blanks, and then it was self-defense, and there was a whole bunch of other shit. And like the only thing I can say is I can see if they're tussling over a gun and there's not a safety on and it's not a revolver and it's just a pump action type deal, or you just pull the trigger and it does its thing. Sure. But if they found her in the closet, were they fighting in the closet? Like now I have so many more questions about why the fuck the bitch was in the closet to begin with. You know what I mean?
So like if take for example my bedroom. I've got space around my bed. There's the nightstand. I got a shit ton of laundry there. But my closet is right there and the door is open. So if we had just fallen into this room somehow, I'm either going to lay in the laundry pile, but more than likely for us to both have access to our feet and use them, we're going to probably be over here. So I could understand if that was the layout, like the closet's just right there. And if I were just to go, I'm going to go that way. Assuming. But in your room, isn't your bed up against the wall?
My bed's against my window.
So you would have more access to space, but I have both
Oh, no.
sides of the bed available.
Right. I'm not going to show where the magic happens on camera, but I
Oh my
have
gracious.
but I have space next to each side of my bed. And like, so I'm sitting on camera and I'm touching the foot of my bed right now.
Right.
That's how close. So there's not a lot of space. Then I have a big, huge, like armoire TV entertainment center thing. And then I have a very small closet, which my litter box is currently in front of because the closet's so small. It's just tote storage. And then my bedroom door is right next to it. So there's not a whole lot of space. So if a bitch was fighting in my room, one of us would have been found on the bed. You know what I mean? Because there's just not a lot of space. But I don't know the dynamics of his house or whatever. It just seems really confusing to me that they're going to be fighting like that with a gun. First of all, that doesn't make any kind of sense, especially with as much training as that man had. Why was he fighting somebody holding a gun? Be that as it may.
And
why
he
was there
had
not
100 pounds on her. And
easily?
It's not fat. This is a giant man.
Yeah, this man was not little. Yeah, for sure.
And he knew how to disarm somebody need be. He had training in it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. Like,
there's just a lot. And I'm not a lawyer and I'm not like a crime scene investigator. I'm not a forensic pathologist. I'm not any of those things. So I'm speaking on shit that I don't truly have credentials in speaking on. It just seems really fishy to me. And then the fact that he was acquitted makes even less sense. There should have been manslaughter at minimum. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But
so I have a shitty excuse too, to tell you. A girl that I went to high school with, not my friend, a girl I went to high school with, I didn't really know her at all. We didn't go in the same circles, but people that I know knew her, and she had married this dude and just had his baby. I actually think it might have been their second child. Maybe it was their first. I don't remember. But he shot her dead while she was taking a nap. He said that the gun accidentally went off. He was trying to set the sights. He was setting the sights to her head when the gun went off. So you're telling me that you're standing there with your gun, cleaning it or what the fuck ever, and you're aiming it at your fucking wife, the woman that just had your baby?
Furthermore, why was the fucking thing loaded if you were setting sights on it? It should have been. See, this is also why I have such severe issues with the gun legislation in the country in which we live, because anybody can buy a gun. Anybody can buy a gun. And some states require a safety class, some states don't. But you can literally not know the first thing about firearms and just go get one. Like, that just legitimately doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
In my mind. Like,
so like in that same field, like you think about, well, the argument is that we have guns to protect ourselves. And then the other argument is, well, guns cause people to die. Guns cause murder. Okay. Wherever there has, I think isn't England, you can't have guns? London?
Yeah. England,
nice.
And I think Australia as well. England and Australia. Yeah.
So there are still ways to kill people. In the sense that guns don't kill people, people kill people. Got it. But guns kill people real fast. And real fucking crazy people can get guns for nothing.
Right. My entire take is I don't believe the right to bear arms should be removed. I believe that we as American citizens should have the right to have guns. I think that's not my argument. My argument is that there needs to be stronger legislation on who can own a gun. There needs to be background checks.
People need to do testing on people. You've got to know how to fucking use a gun to get a gun. And not be fucking crazy.
That, and we need a fucking, we have a severe mental health epidemic in the United States. And I feel like a lot of people that are neurodivergent or mentally spicy may not recognize that they should not own a gun, right? I know for myself, I should not own a gun, so I don't. Now, I am of the firm belief that if you're going to purchase a gun, there needs to be, certifications that you're not fucking crazy. You need to have a gun safety course so you know how to take apart, put together, know how to clean it, all of those kinds of things. And
Know how
it
to
needs
store it
right.
properly.
It needs to not be, walk into a sporting goods store and buy a rifle and ammo and leave. To buy a handgun, most states require a 3-day waiting period. That might be federal. I don't know. But to buy a shotgun, you don't. You know what I mean? And I feel like there just needs to be more concise legislation on how to go about legally owning a firearm, training, mental health, certification, and a background check, a significant background check for any firearm, regardless if it's a hunting rifle or a handgun. There needs to be some kind of way to check who are getting these guns.
Right. And all of that with the understanding bad people that want to murder people are going to find a way to murder people. Anyway. It is not about the weapon. However, people being able to own a weapon need to be able to own responsibly. Mm-hmm. And that does mean getting proper background checks done. That does mean being properly trained on how to responsibly clean, how to responsibly maintain, how to store, how to keep it away from kids, like all of it. It's not just, oh, we need to lose our guns. They need to take away our guns. I don't want a gun, so you can't have a gun. No, it's about having fucking responsibility and being held liable for the actions.
Right. And then there are these people that are all like, we need guns in case we have to take out our government, baby boy. I don't know what Delulu
when are we going to start?
I don't know what Delulu land
is
you
it
came
time?
from if you think your cute little AR-15 is going to do anything to the military. I just need you to just go ahead and remove that thought from your mind. Okay, baby? That's not a thing.
Okay. So there's lots of things that we can look at in each of these cases and say, did anybody see something beforehand and not say anything? But also going back to Scientology, that is so fucked that you can't go to the police. What?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
like they're very hush hush and try to handle things amongst themselves apparently. But going back to your question, did somebody see something? They did. They, especially within Danny Masterson's case, it's alleged that Ashton Kutcher knew about at least one situation.
Alleged. You said right. Alleged.
Yeah. Like, and in Masterson's case, primarily, people did know because these girls tried to come forward and they were silenced after it happened. It took them almost 20 years to get an investigation by police, to get any of these types of any kind of resolution. It took them almost 20 years for that to happen. So
what has to happen for the church to then be considered an accessory?
I have no idea. I don't know how the legal system works like that. I would be shocked if they aren't, and I don't know how that church is still able to operate as a church, if we're being, completely honest. But the same can be said for,
Westboro
Baptist and Joel Osteen and whatever his I cast you out with the breath of Jesus.
That crazy faced man with his fake teeth. Oh, he made.
Don't you ever say I did again.
I know that you do not like Supernatural, but that man, something inside me says that man is a character from Supernatural. And there's a demon inside him, and I just need Sam and Dean to come and fix it. And then I remember it's just a TV show. Okay, so wrapping up, McAllister's Bring Back the Muffaletta.
Bring it back.
You are really letting us down as a nation. With the TikTok ban, we just need muffalettas. Amongst other things, but I need a muffaletta from McAllister's to make me feel better.
Indeed. Also, make sure we're calling our representatives, calling our senators, making our voices heard. Let's not let TikTok get banned. because I can tell you deep in my heart and soul, my ass is not going to fucking MAGA clapper. It's not happening. If TikTok goes, baby, I'm done with social media with the exception of this podcast. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Clapper is atrocious.
It really is. It was really shoddy. Maybe we could create our own. We've talked about this before. We need Bonnie to like make it for us.
There is a Discord server called We the People Need an App. And I forget the creator on TikTok who initiated it. She has a weird username. But they have this Discord server where people are coming together in planning stages as to develop an app for We the People that need an app. And so that would be a good place to start. You can search for We the People Need an App on Discord.
Okay, that's all. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
I love you. Goodbye.
I love you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us. We love y'all, sweet pumpkins. Stay safe, and remember
to fix your mouth.